Dear children, in a previous class, we learnt about the food preservative methods. I hope you understand this concept. So, dear students, once again I am going to revise this food preservative methods. It is a very important concept. So, the food is spoiled because of the microorganisms. So, thus spoiled food will be has the bad smell and bad taste. This will be causes the food poisoning. So because of the microbial activities, the food become destroys. And because of that microbial activities, that food become as a bad smell and bad taste. So when the microorganisms is start growing in that food particles, so at the time of the reproducing these microorganisms, increasing its population of the microorganisms, the various metabolic activities that will be held. So as a result of that, some of the toxic substances is also released. These toxic substances along with the microorganisms will be causes the food poisoning. So this food poisoning is very danger and toxic material to us. When we consume this, so we will be face lot of health issues. Okay, fine. So then how to overcome from this problem? See children, we have to follow some general preservative methods. These general preservative methods that will be takes place in our home also. This will be very helpful to preserve the food for further uses or future use. So that we have to follow some types of preservative methods that will be helps to organism, that will be helps to us to avoid the food poisoning. So which are these food preservative methods? So already we learned briefly in a last class also. So that is chemical method, by using common salt, by using sugar, by using oil and vinegar, by heat and cold treatment. These are all the techniques that we are used for the preservation of food materials. Some of the chemicals that will be used in the different varieties of food particles like jams, squashes. So this will be preserved by adding sodium benzoate. So this will be preserved by adding of sodium benzoate, sodium metabisulfate. These are all the best chemicals that we are used in jams, whatever that we are eating the jams, fruit jams and all. So this will be preserved for various months right now. So because of sodium benzoate. So these chemicals will be prevent the growth of microorganisms. That's why the food will be preserved for various durations, certain duration. So same like that only, we are using common salt also. This common salt also is very helpful to preserve the food materials. And apart from that, adding of sugars and vinegar, heat and cold treatment, these are all the best preservative methods that will be helps to avoid the food poisoning and also helps to avoid the growth of microorganisms. Apart from that, pasteurization, it is also a kind of the preservative method. So this is a process of heating of milk. So pasteurization is nothing but heating treatment. It is just like a related to heating treatment. The process of heating of milk to about 70 degrees Celsius for 15 to 30 seconds and then suddenly chilling it to prevent the growth of microbes is called as pasteurization. This was discovered by Louis Pasteur. and even the proper storage and packing also will be play a major role to avoid the growth of microbes. So by storage and packing, many of the food items are stored in airtight containers. So these airtight containers will be very helpful to protect the growth of microbes. These are all the things that we are used for the food preservative methods. And one more very important children, so that is nitrogen cycle. Dear children, this nitrogen cycle will be play a major role in the fixation of atmospheric nitrogen into useful format. See here, the one more in the starting the lesson only we are discussed that I will give some examples related to the useful microorganisms. So this nitrogen fixation that will be takes place because of active involvement of a bacteria, that is we call it as rhizobium. So this rhizobium bacteria helps to fix the atmospheric nitrogen into useful format of nitrates. See children, how this process of nitrogen cycle will be takes place. Just go through this one. So the nitrogen cycle is an atmospheric that is converted into nitrogen compounds in the soil by nitrogen fixing bacteria and blue green algae. Not only some bacteria like rhizobium, even some blue green algae. So this also will be very helpful to absorb the atmospheric nitrogen and fix into the soil. So already we know that the plants doesn't have a capacity to absorb the nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen. So that's why the plants will be absorb the nitrogen indirectly. So lightning is also converted into nitrogen compounds in the soil. The nitrogen compounds is used in the soil, whatever that is dissolved by the help of few bacteria. These are used by these plants for synthesis of proteins and other compounds at the time of photosynthesis. So apart from that, whatever the plants that will be consumed or feeded by the animals, these proteins and other compounds also transported to human beings and other organisms, those who are depend on the plants. When the plants and animals again dies, the bacteria and fungi in the soil converts the nitrogenous waste into nitrogen compounds in the soil, and again it will be mixed into the soil that will be utilized by the plant. Some other bacteria convert some nitrogen compounds into the soil into nitrogen gas, which goes back into the atmosphere. Hence, the nitrogen in the atmosphere almost remains constant. So, let us see here. There is a one nitrogen cycle flow chart will be there. Just observe it carefully. So, it is the first stage of the nitrogen. So, that is atmospheric nitrogen. See, this atmospheric nitrogen will be very helpful to absorb the some of the bacteria whatever it is present in the roots of the plant. This just like a rhizobium bacteria and as well as other bacteria like blue green algae, this will be absorb the atmospheric nitrogen into whatever the atmospheric nitrogen is present in that will be absorbed by these bacteria. So after that, that bacteria will be converts the nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen into nitrates into the soil, and this will be utilized by the plants for their growth and development. So after that, this will be consumed by the plants or animals for their food and shelter purpose. So after the completion of each and every living organism's lifespan, again that organisms that will be decomposes into the soil. So this decomposed soil products again that is automatically dissolved in the soil only. Again that will be utilized by the plants for their nutrition purposes. Apart from that, some of the bacteria also present in the soil. Some of the fungi and viruses and bacteria that is present in the dead and decaying organisms, that will be when there will be death after the completion of lifespan. So these bacteria directly converts the nitrogen into, which means useful nitrogen nitrates is there, no, whatever there will be, plants will be, animals will be consumes, that will be directly converts into nitrogen gas and directly releases into atmosphere. Hence this process of the nitrogen will be remains same related to this nitrogen cycle. Dear children, this is about the brief information about the process of microorganisms and the nitrogen cycle. Dear children, related to this nitrogen cycle, so I will share attach one video. Must be watch this nitrogen cycle and understand the concept. So this video related to animated. Must be understand it once again. And this is about the complete information of microorganisms. I hope you understand these concepts.
Huh?